My name is Wastie Birdo, and today we're doing 4 car shows in one day. It's 6:30 a.m. and you may be wondering, why are we up at this time? I know I'm wondering why we're up at this time, but it's because boomers wake up really early to do their car shows. And that's how you can tell what kind of car show it is. If the car show begins at 7 a.m., it's a boomer car show. If it begins at 8 a.m., it's a Gen X car show. If it begins at 9 a.m., it's a millennial car show. And if it begins at 10 a.m., it's a Gen Z car show. Our first car show of the day is at Super Cheap Auto, Rouse Hill at 7 a.m. We're already late. We're being attacked by Alfa Romeos on all sides. I don't think that was me being an American. I think that was just the road being confusing. Yes. So we're at Super Cheap Auto in Rouse Hill. Holden Kingswood SS. Those are some sticky tires. So I made a mistake in one of my previous videos and I said, Australians love their V6s, and everyone got mad at me and said, we don't really care about the V6. They like their inline 6s. The old Holden Kingswoods had inline 6s and they beat V8s around the track. And the newer Fords in the 2000s had the Barra motor with an inline 6 that was turbocharged. V6s, there weren't as many famous ones. Firebird! Holden Monaro GTS. So it looks like another Tirana SS, or at least it has the SS badge on. I love the stripes. So again, I have the question, is that a factory stripe package? It looks like it probably would be. It's very 70s. I love these little baseball caps for cars. In the United States, we call this an Acura Integra Type R, but it's really a Honda Integra Type R. This has the actual Honda badge in Australia. In the US, they would swap the Integra badge for a Honda badge because they wanted it to look more Japanese. But here, if you got one, it already came with a Honda badge. The fun thing about my channel is that I don't know what I'm talking about because I'm in Australia, and I'm a car guy, but like these are all new to me, you know?
Yeah, it's an all-four chapter. It's XB?
Yeah.
XB chapter?
Yeah. But they told me that paint job was a John Gosh special, like, because I saw one with a green hood. Yeah, and right. They told me that it comes with a blue hood too, and that's the first time I've seen one.
I actually have a old 1976 Holden Kingswood. I've had this since I was 16. It's my first car. This is a 5-litre 308.
Do you swap it in yourself or what?
Yeah, I do, because I'm in the trade. I'm a mechanic, so it was pretty easy for me. I went and bought an engine crane. It took me like about a few months to get it all right.
I'm kind of envious because I don't really work on cars. I've always wanted to, and I barely have had any time to actually learn how to do it. Yeah. So I usually just end up paying someone like you to fix my cars for me.
Yeah, that's fair.
What got you into the older cars?
I made some mates in high school, and they were in the cars. I mostly like the JDM cars, you know,
yeah,
like your Skylines and etc.
Yeah.
And I was into that, and I told my dad I want to be a mechanic, I want to buy a project car. And I was saying, oh yeah, you know, I might buy a Supra, I might buy a Skyline, I might buy an RX-7 or whatever. Yeah. And it's like, no, you don't buy that. And my dad's like, you should buy one of these. This is perfect for you, you know, easy to work on, easy to learn, and plus they hold their value. You can't find them anywhere in this condition.
And I love that you're keeping history alive.
Well, it used to be a 3-speed on the column.
So you put a manual in, is that what you're saying?
No, actually it was already in it when I bought it, so it saved me the hassle of like cutting into the floor and stuff, because I like to feel the drive.
And you have more control. Like on an electric car, when you don't need gears, that's fine, but in a internal combustion engine, you need the gears, so you need to be able to pick which gear you're in.
Yeah,
you know?
When in an auto, you know, you put your foot down and it's like, okay, where do you want to go? First, like, you want to go like, I don't know, third, fourth, and just start screwing its head off saying first, you know, and just take off. You're like, whoa, I don't want to go that low.
Right, like, are you approaching a hill? Are you approaching a curve? Only you know that. The car doesn't know that. Yeah. Are you in a hurry? Are you not in a hurry? The car doesn't know that. Even if it's with like the flappy paddles on the steering wheel, that's still better than just letting the computer figure it out. F6, I need to look that one up later. FPV F6 Typhoon. Nissan Navara. So we did get these in the US as the Nissan hard body pickup truck, but we only had 2 doors on ours. I've never seen a 4-door Nissan hard body pickup truck. Does Australia even have Buicks usually?
There's a few here.
Were they ever sold new here?
No, never.
Okay, they weren't sold new.
Just all private imports.
So Mad Skelly had not even heard that Buicks still existed. And they do exist in the United States,
Yes.
but they're not even very popular in the US.
Most new Buicks now in the US are SUVs.
The only reason Buick really even exists in the US is because China loves Buick so much that if we were to stop making them in the US, China wouldn't want them anymore. But China really likes Buick, so they sell lots and lots of Buicks in China.
Well, even in Japan, if you go to Japan, there's a lot of US muscle cars, 50s and 60s.
Yeah, oh, well, they love the old Buicks. Yeah, they love the old stuff, yeah. I lived in Phoenix, Arizona for a long time.
We love it there. We love it. We've been 3 times in the last 8 years.
Yeah.
In the US. You just got to avoid getting shot.
Yeah, exactly. That's what they keep telling me.
We've never seen anything bad in the US.
That's what they keep telling me.
We've never seen a gun, a knife, a gang.
Yeah.
Never had any problems. Everyone has good manners.
But no, that's the funniest thing coming to Australia is everyone asks me, are there mass shootings all the time? Like, have you ever been near a mass shooting? Have you ever been shot at? I'm like, no. It's in the news. It's in the news all the time. That doesn't mean that it happens.
That's the problem in Australia.
There's 300 million people.
On our news every night is all the bad things about US.
So yeah, there's a lot of mass shootings, but you're not going to be part of one. The odds of that are like minuscule. Americans don't want to come here because we're afraid we're going to be bitten by a spider or some kind of octopus or something. Yeah. Everything wants to kill you in Australia.
A shark will get you.
A shark, yeah, okay.
Funnel-web spiders.
Yeah.
Snakes.
Yeah.
We have in North Queensland, out of the 10 most venomous snakes in the world, we have 9 of them in North Queensland.
I've got a workshop full of Swedish sports cars.
Like my favorite is what's the P1800, I think?
P1800. I've got 6 of them.
You have a American channel or?
It's just it's the world. It's the internet.
Right.
So actually, my audience is almost all Australians because they think it's hilarious that I come here and I'm like, I don't know what this car is. I don't know what this car is. Much as we'd like to stay and see what else turns up, we have 3 more car shows to go to today. Next, we're going to Machines and Macchiatos in Terry Hills. If I had to offer the world one piece of advice, it would be to create value. Create value for people who pay you. That's work. Create value for people who don't pay you. That's kindness. Create value for people you like. That's friendship. Create value for people you don't like. That's self-preservation. But most of all, create value for yourself, because that's happiness. Subaru Forester STI. We got some Subaru Forester turbos in the US. It was a pretty rare and unusual car. I don't think we got an STI version. BMW 1M, I think they only made these 1 year. I love these things. We did get these in the US, but this is, I don't like a lot of BMWs, but I like this one. It's small and it's sporty as heck, and you could get it with a manual. We didn't get the Integra during this time. We called this the Acura RSX. So it's so cool to see the Honda Integra Type S. So Ford Falcon panel van. So not a sundowner, but built in the same style as a sundowner. Got a nice comfy blanket in back. The police cars are often these SRTs, and I know these are really fast. In the US, some of the cop cars, people think they're fast, but they're not that fast. This is actually fast. We didn't get as many of these old Mazdas in the US as they get in Australia. It's a very cool Japanese sports car from the 70s. I have no response to this. It's the Lotus 7 or one of the replicas. And I actually had a dream one time that I was driving one of these down the Pacific Coast Highway in the US. And I'm not usually into this kind of car, but when I had that dream and it was just so vivid, it made me love these things. I've just been informed, PRB, these were a reproduction Lotus that was made in Sydney. This is the new Hyundai Ioniq 5, I believe. Should we look it up or should I just say Ioniq 5? I know we should do both. This is the new Hyundai Ioniq 6. Guess I could look in the back, it might say. This is the new Hyundai Ioniq 5. This is actually a cool looking electric car. I really like this. My problem with electric cars is not that they're electric. My problem is that there's too many computers, too many screens, too many touch buttons that I don't want to have to look at in order to press. And the computer tells you that you're not allowed to go that fast. We don't want you to do burnouts. We don't want you to do donuts. What I want is my throttle pedal to be a potentiometer that's connected directly to an electric motor. And when I floor it, I can do burnouts at any speed. Ford Falcon in lime green. I don't know if it's factory color or not, but I love it. Everyone says I don't get enough Monaros, so now we got some Monaros. Somebody asked me to include a Brumby in a video, but I already did that. There was a Brumby in the Holden road trip video, but there's another one here, and so I'm equally excited about these. We got these for a couple years back in the 70s in the US, and then that was it. But here you see them like later models from the 80s and maybe even the 90s. In the United States, we called these the Subaru Brat. I have no response to that. No, this is the most boring thing. The Lincoln Continental. It's like these are. You can get one of these for like $1,000 or something. No one wants these. Here we go. Chrysler Valiant Charger 408 Valiant RT. It says stroker, so I guess it has been modified. The only thing I don't like about these is the headlights. They kind of feel like an afterthought. Just kind of like stick a little square headlight on there. It's a Fairmont. I don't know. It's not a Falcon. Maybe it's a Falcon. I don't know, but it looks way better than the things that we call Fairmonts in the US, I could tell you that. Yeah. American Charger, Australian Charger. It's a Corvette. Who cares? It's just a Corvette. Camaro, whatever. Oh, there's a Mustang, whatever. Look at this, it's a Holden Ute. There we go. The V8 in it. This is an unusual Holden wagon from the 80s, it looks like. Holden Mystery Wagon. Ford Falcon GT. Piece of history. One of the most surprising, unusual things about Australia, especially I think Sydney, is the birds. The birds in cities have to make louder sounds to be heard over the cars and things like that. Or to be heard over the voices of YouTubers. And in addition to that, the birds in Sydney are just crazy. They're crazy and they're loud and they make the craziest noises you've ever heard a bird make. What kind of bird is that? Somebody tell me. It's magical. Next, we're off to the Hill Car Enthusiast meetup at the Vicar in Doral. I want to talk about turn signal stalks and wiper stalks. My parents have owned Toyotas since the 70s, and they haven't massively changed these stalks. They've been pretty much like this since then. I mean, I think they were narrower at some point, but the fonts and the controls are just the same as the car that I learned to drive on. It was a 1983 Toyota Tercel. When I was 16, I would click the turn signal and I would turn on the headlights and it would feel just like this. And that was in another country, in another part of the world, and it was 40 years ago. And so it brings me a lot of happiness and comfort that they haven't changed the fonts and the controls on the turn signal stalks. They make a big effort to change the dashboard and change all the heater controls all the time because they think that people want to see change. But I just want to see my car stay the same. If they figure out how to do something and how to do it right and how to do it well, I don't want those things to change. We are now at the Hills Car Enthusiast gathering at the Vicar in Doral. Second gen Toyota MR2. I have a special connection to this car because my dad owned one for a very long time, and I begged him to give it to me, and one day after 25 years passed, he did. So I actually own one of these, MR2 Turbo, that's in storage in Texas, that used to be my dad's.
The interior of it, I've got it hydro dipped in a red camo. I've got a subwoofer in between the seats.
Oh nice, yes. I have not had a good stereo in my car for so long.
Stereo, just a minute.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah,
So what year is this?
it's an 07.
Ignition orange, yeah.
Yeah, it's a rare colour.
Yeah, it's been lowered, it looks like.
Yeah, it's been lowered on double SLs. Soon I'm getting an engine swap put in it. Conversion to an LS1.
Yeah.
Right now it's just a V6 on green peas, but it's beautiful though. I love it. Pride and joy.
And what's your name?
It's Blake.
Bloke?
Blake.
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 I was like, bloke, yeah.
Bloke,
This
yeah.
is bloke.
I get called that a couple times.
This is Blake the bloke, and I'm Wasteland Fiber. Nissan Silvia. I think we got like some of these kind of something like this in the US, but like the 180 or the 240 SX or whatever, but it didn't look like this, and maybe not like of this year. So this is something that you might see occasionally in us, but only if people especially import it. And I know that's also true in Australia. There's also cars that Australia didn't get, and you have to especially import them from Japan, but it seems like it happens a lot more often here. The Honda Civic Type R, we did finally get these in the US in more recent years. This is something I dreamed of in the 90s. I absolutely loved Honda Civics. I've owned 3 of them. And at some point, I really got into rear-wheel drive cars because I like to do donuts and drift. So I got away from front-wheel drive, but the 90s version of me is extremely excited right now. Are these like the original seats?
No, they're from a 1985 Mazda
Okay.
Familia, but it's very similar to the seats you get as an option, like the Recaro seats as an option for this car. The whole car is period correctly, like the steering wheel is period.
Does the cassette player work?
Yes, it does. But the cassette player is not the one that originally came with the car.
Okay, yep,
But it's from the same period as well. It's got like some really cool. Maybe I can show you it. It's actually one of my favorite parts of the car is the cassette player because you look at the visualizations of it. It's freaking plain.
Yeah. Hyundai, you are doing something right. Korea is the new Japan. Hyundai is the new Toyota. Terrible cars back in the 90s. They've come so far. I have no response to that. Land Rover used to be Australia's best-selling car. A British truck. And they used them to go out in the bush, out in the outback, and go everywhere they needed to go. But then Toyota came and just kicked them out and took over the entire country. Now the Toyota Land Cruiser is as far as I know, I think it's the best-selling car in Australia, or at least it was for a very long time, because of reliability. Land Rovers just weren't reliable, and the Land Cruisers were much more reliable. Nissan Silvia Spec R. I love this color. I've always been thinking that people should do sports cars in like a beige, and I've never seen it. This is like the first time ever. I love it. What made you want to do it?
Just always liked the colour, and when the opportunity came up, my mate opened up a wrap shop and he needed a few cars to show his work off, so I put my hand straight up.
So this is a wrap?
This is wrap.
Yeah, it just looks like paint. It's gorgeous.
Yeah.
What's the name of the wrap shop?
It's called Ministry of Wrap.
Ministry of Wrap. What do we have here? It's a Mitsubishi Pajero Mini.
We say Pajero.
Mitsubishi Pajero Mini. Now I know they made a really sporty Pajero as well. I've seen some of those at car shows. Never seen one of those in the US. It's got a turbo. Renault Megane RS Monaco GP. This is exactly the kind of thing that we can't get in the US. But a lot of Australians are like, oh, it's just French crap. Like, you're not missing anything. But I feel like I'm missing something. I love the selection of hot hatches in Australia. I have something to say about the spoilers. The taller the spoiler, the younger the driver. So we can ascertain by looking at this spoiler that the driver of this vehicle is 5 years old. This is our 4th car show of the day. It's the East Charity, East Coast.
No, stop.
It's the East something charity.
East Hills Charity Car Show.
It's the East Hills Charity Car Show in Panania. People really must be expecting the apocalypse to be coming at any moment, because we're calling the youngest people alive today Generation Z. There aren't any more letters. We're now at the East Hills Charity Car Show in Panania. Sausage roll. It's kind of like anywhere in the US where you'd get a hot dog, they'll serve a sausage roll instead. So it's pretty much a hot dog, but it tastes a little different. You get barbecue sauce or tomato sauce, as they call ketchup here. So, and you're the band here today.
I am. I
That's
play the
awesome.
saxophone here.
What's the name of the band?
MRS.
MRS.
The Misses.
The Misses.
Yeah, but
okay.
actually it stood for Meat Raffle Support.
Meat Raffle Support.
Every time we play, we're supporting some meat raffle,
Okay.
so we thought MRS will do.
Well, very cool meeting you, man.
Good on you, man. It's nice seeing you. Very entertaining on the show.
Yeah,
Well done.
thanks. Plymouth Pt Cruiser. This car is not very beloved in the States, but at the same time, they did sell a lot of them. A lot of people bought them, a lot of people drove them, but very few people loved them. Toyota AE86 is the original inspiration for the modern Toyota 86. Leland Mini Moke, the commenters had told me that a lot of these were made in Australia, and it seems to be that they were sold in other countries, but Australians like these cars more so than anyone else. So this is kind of an Australian car. I mean, it's a British company, but these cars were sold mostly to Australians. Yes, this car is a part of my youth. It was one of the many inspirations for me to fall in love with cars, because I used to watch the show in the 70s. The other big one, though, was Speed Racer. That's the earliest memory I have of watching a television show, is watching Speed Racer. Speed Racer kills a guy in the opening theme song of the show. Speed Racer did not mess around. Here we go. Smokey and the Bandit. As we know, I am a fan of Firebirds. Has Burt Reynolds and Jackie Gleason on the hood. Pink Ford. Was it originally pink from the factory?
It's called Wild Plum.
Wild Plum. I was just really excited about the crazy colors that you can see Australian muscle cars. Chrysler in the US made Panther Pink, and that's the only one I can think of. But it seems like Ford, Chrysler, and GM had pink muscle cars in the 70s.
They did.
And I just saw my first pink Holden the other day.
Yep.
At the Sydney Classic. It was like a light pink. And
Strike Me Pink in the Tirana.
Strike Me Pink, that's what it was, yep.
Magenta in the Chryslers.
Right, so I love crazy colored cars, and it feels like Australia got more crazy colored cars than the US ever did. Wild Plum Ford Falcon XA GT. I heard about Buckle. It's like an Australian company, I think?
Yeah, it was only small time. It was a car dealer on a Manly Warringah Peninsula. And he made these little fiberglass cars. They're iconic Australian cars, but there aren't many of them around there.
Yeah. So this is kind of special to have two of them here today, huh?
Oh yeah, I'd say so. But I've never seen these ones till today.
So you've never seen one till today?
No.
Oh, okay, but now we're seeing two of them?
And now we're seeing two of them.
1955 and 1956 Buckle Coupe. Coupe GT. Is that yours? This your car?
Both of them.
Yes.
Both of them? Okay, the guy over there told me he had never seen a Buckle, and today, now he's seen his first two of them.
I've never seen a Buckle.
And now you own two. You are the one who owns both of these cars.
Yeah.
Yes.
Do you just both drive one over, or what?
That one
I
was.
got a son drives that one.
Okay.
We drive this one.
That,
How long have you owned these cars?
This one since the late 70s. And we built that one in the 80s, early 80s.
Yeah.
We know Bill Buckle.
So you know Bill Buckle. Okay, so tell me about him, because I don't know anything about him.
Yeah, they were built here in Punchbowl. Ponds Road, Punchbowl, in the 50s.
Okay.
1955. He had a dealership. He used to deal in cars, import export cars, right? And he decided in the 50s that he could build a sports car. Right. In the 50s, it was a building craze. Bowell, Hunter,
Yeah.
There was Aston Martin, Berkeley. All those people were building cars then because there was no restrictions. All this stuff was being built in the 50s here. It was a good time.
I really wish I could have been alive at that time.
Well, I was at the time when Del Shannon was top star.
Okay, Del Shannon. I don't know the name.
It's an American singer, rock and roll.
Okay, rock and roll singer. Okay. See, you're just before my time, I guess. I thought maybe he was some Australian singer.
He's in his 90s. I'm 86.
Really?
Yeah.
I didn't want to ask, but that's what I said. I thought maybe you guys were around in the 50s. That's awesome.
Yes.
It was awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome time.
I just think that the 20th century was the best time in human history. And I think things have gotten a little more boring now because, like you say, there's so many restrictions. And there was so much progress that happened so quickly in the 20th century. People went from not even knowing what a car was, and then later in their life, they saw man land on the moon. And I'm really envious you guys got to grow up during like the best time in human history.
Yeah, you could talk like this forever, but unless you was in that time, you actually can't relive it with anybody.
Yeah,
I had to relive
I have no
it. So
idea.
You're living your time.
That's true.
So
But my time's a little more boring.
in the future, if there is a future, you'll be talking to somebody and they won't know anything about your life.
That's true. I mean, I can tell them about the internet. Like, we invented the internet. That was pretty cool. And we invented a computer that you can carry around in your pocket. Like, that's amazing. But really, there's not much else. There's not much else that we did that was cool. You guys did all the cool stuff. Congratulations on a life well lived. I'm envious.
Okay, mate.
Thank you
you.
very much.
Enjoy your weekend.
Thank you. Yeah, you too. Suzuki Cappuccino, you're leaving? This is so cool. I've always wanted to see one. I've never seen one in the real world. 3-cylinder turbocharged.
3-cylinder turbocharged, rear-wheel drive.
Rear-wheel drive. Oh, that's awesome. Yeah.
5-speed gearbox. So it's sort of got all the makings of a modern car, but it's 30 years old.
Yeah, and so it's a K car, isn't it?
It's a K car.
And so were these legally, like, these weren't sold in Australia? Somebody had to import it.
They were imported. Yeah.
Okay, and
they
then
were never sold through dealers.
Right. Okay, and so is that difficult to do, or does it have to be more than 25 years old or
These
something?
days it has to be more than 25 years old.
Well, congratulations on having a cool and interesting and weird little car.
Thank you very much.
Yeah. Thanks. This is pretty much the most Australian vehicle I've ever seen. It's a Holden Ute. It's got a bull bar. It's got a roll bar. It's got a tray on the back. It's got a toolbox in the back. So that's it. Today we did 4 car shows in one day. We did the Super Cheap Auto, Rouse Hill, Cars and Coffee. We did the Machines and Macchiatos. We did the Hills Car Enthusiast, and now the East something charity car show. East Hills Charity Car Show. I don't know why I don't spend every Sunday doing this, because this has been wonderful. I think the getting up at 5 a.m. is actually why I don't spend every Sunday doing this. But if it weren't for that, I would spend every Sunday doing this.
Never met him without me. I said, isn't he YouTube?
I'm the guy from YouTube.
Been Summernats?
I've not been yet, but I'm going to go because everybody says I should go.
Summernats you got to go.
Well, this is one of the things is I'm relying on people to tell me where to go to, like what shows to go to and what museums, that kind of thing. I'm Wasteland Fiber. Thank you for inviting me into your home or onto your portable device. Good night. I'm going to go take a nap now. And thanks to Mad Skelly for the camera work.
Remember him when you look at the night sky.
I will.